I'm going to be completely blunt about this. I think this might be the best deck box I've ever used. But it's not the best deck box for everyone. In fact, I think it might be bad for a lot of people. So why would I make an entire video about a deck box that isn't good for most people? It's because I think that most people might actually become the people this deck box is for. Welcome to Absolute Cardboard, where we focus on budget decks, cool accessories, and building a collection you can be proud of. Today we have a doozy. This is the Flatpack 110, a 3D printed deck box from Cabal Coffees. And this is a lot, so let's start with these. 3 alcoves on each side that magnetically hold this little disc with a magnet. And the weird part is that if you put one of these discs next to, let's say, the one from the other side, they stick together. Like a children's cartoon, these things, once combined together, become another thing, and that thing is a life counter, which is admittedly less impressive than a robot made of dinosaurs or a boombox or something, but it's infinitely more useful. They're actually very similar to the old life counters that used to come with the Commander anthologies, which were cool, and it's kind of a bummer that Wizards just don't make those and sell them for like $5. Here you get 3 life counters in total, and you can use them for life counters specifically, or I kind of like to use them as 100-sided dice. Like for your Hydra decks, when your Snake Boy becomes a 0/0 that just happens to have 77 +1/+1 counters on it. Having just 3 of them is a bit peculiar, since Commander usually has 4 people, but I guess this is really just the maximum allowed by the physical construction of the box itself. What next? Okay, this front. This frame is held on to the deck box proper via 4 magnets. When lifted, generally via this little notch here, it reveals this tray, which holds a top loader, which will generally hold your commander. And what I actually like to do is put a horizontal art card of a commander, like here, for example. In the box is this Final Fantasy X pre-constructed deck, though I use Yuna as the commander. And it so happens that I ended up with an art card of that Yuna, so when I have this deck in this deck box, I put the art card in the frame, and keep the actual playing card inside the box. It's just a cool touch, especially if you set this on the shelf on its side. Okay, now the money shot, where you keep the friggin' cards. We'll just pop this top bar here, and then you have 2 sections, each of which are holding currently about 50 single-sleeved Magic the Gathering cards. To see how much this bad boy actually holds, let's bust out the trusty scale and somewhat sus calipers to get some hard data. I'll go ahead and put the specs for this here on the screen at the moment for those nerds who go off numbers and facts. But for those who aren't absolute nerds and just vibe measure, each compartment will hold 60 single-sleeve cards. In terms of Commander, that means you'll be left with around 39 to 40 cards in the other compartment, depending on if your Commander is in the front frame, or if you just have a piece of art there and your Commander remains in the deck box. For that remainder compartment, I was able to fit 39 single-sleeve cards and about 30-ish unsleeved cards, so dry erase cards, tokens, whatever you want. As always, to check double sleeves, we'll go to my trusty Obnixilis Captive Kingpin deck, and he's getting real tired of just being used for how much junk he has in his figurative trunk. The Flatpack 110 unfortunately will only hold 44 double-sleeved cards in each compartment, which means for double sleevers, this box is right out. They do offer a Flatpack 130, and we'll get more to that later. The top cover is held on with 2 magnets, one at each end, and it's not the most secure thing in the world. Shaking it by just holding the top will cause it to come undone like Duran Duran. Similarly, a good shake with the top to the side or facing down, and the box will become torn apart like Joy Division when exposed to love. This means that when handling it, you will want to grab it and hold it by the base. If you need some help on how to do that, just ask your mom. The front frame is on there pretty good, and it won't get dislodged with a simple nud, but it's also not too tough, especially if you use your fingers in the open notch, and this thing will pop right off. The life counter discs are super secure in the alcove, and maybe are actually a little bit tough to get out, which I think is a good thing. Once they are in the alcove itself and the sides of the counter are angled just enough to prevent the discs from spinning. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the size and shape of this deck box. I happen to love it. I think this deck box opens up a whole new realm for deck boxes. See, I'm what you might call a fashionable guy in a very slob sort of way. Especially when it comes to bags. I'm a bag man for sure. You could in fact say I'm from Bag End. You could say that I'm the bizarre bag daddy. That phrase about getting the bag, yeah, that was about me. Anyways, one issue I've always had with traditional deck boxes is that they are fat, like no matter how you look at them. and they create a bulge in any kind of slim or messenger style bag. It's just really off-putting and makes me use a large, bulky thing when I go to game night, when I don't necessarily always want to. But this thing will slide right into any kind of slim bag, making it look like a normal bag that doesn't have a tumor. Hi, Alan here, the proprietor of Absolute Cardboard. I know tumor and cancer jokes are generally in poor taste, but you may be new to the channel and you may not know that I myself have had cancer, and am currently in the monitoring stage to see if it might come back. And not only that, but the cancer that I had was in my butt. So before you head to the comments to yell at me about my poor taste, just know that, my butt. This video is sponsored by me, Alan, from Absolute Cardboard. Did you know that for half the price of a Play Booster Pack, you can support this channel here on YouTube or on Patreon? That's right, for just $3 a month, you can support the most dynamic and engaging Magic personality on the entire internet. Members get early access to videos, as well as members-only videos where I spout insane hot takes. If you enjoy these videos, or if I've saved you some money with my reviews or budget deck lists, consider becoming a member. With the Flatpack, I can use this deck box to make almost an everyday carry type deck. Just keep it in a fashionable bag that you would maybe take to work and maybe carry some random dice with you, and you're ready just in case a game of Commander breaks out. But in all seriousness, I do think making your LGS bag small and sleek can be a real game changer for some people. I mean, hell, you could be cool enough to still be wearing jorts, and you could probably fit this thing into one of the front pockets. And you can always still use this in those big bags and deck box cases and stuff where you have a bit of space left over, but maybe not enough for a full depth deck box. Not only does the deck box work very well in terms of functionality, it is fidgety as hell. The frame you can mess with, the top you can mess with, but the real star here is the 3, and count them 3 life counters that you can just kind of fiddle with. Spin them, roll them, these things are great. In fact, the deck box as a whole is just a lot of fun to handle. Its thin design even allows you to kind of hold it like a book, which, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's a new thing, but I do really like the weight distribution that I can really only get from this particular deck box. Okay, this is where I have to explain something. See, when I got this deck box, it was back when I was still recovering from chemotherapy, and I wasn't actually playing that much or actually using deck boxes that much at all. By the time I got around to wanting to review this deck box, and let's say halfway through writing it, I discovered that Cabal Coffees has updated the design, and fairly significantly. I attempted to reach out to them to see if I could get an updated version for reviewing purposes. I didn't get a response, and that's okay. The problem is, I totally recommend this deck box, but you can't buy this deck box anymore. Instead, the updated version forgoes the magnetic removal frame in exchange for a groove in which you can just slide your top loader in and out, and it looks to be secured on the top by the lid. Is that better? I don't know. I could think that fewer moving parts like the frame and magnets that go into the frame make it more secure and potentially have a longer longevity. I can't say for sure because I haven't used the new version. And so I cannot in good faith recommend the updated deck box specifically, but not because I think it's bad. Again, I haven't spent any time with it, so I just can't say. But I would recommend a deck box like this deck box as a outlier deck box, just for this form factor in particular. Something you can carry in a sleek bag or in an everyday bag, something that gives you some versatility to Tetris your other deck boxes with, to fit in where you've got a little bit of extra space. Now, Cabal Coffees has a few iterations of this style, with the updated style of this particular life counter deck box being called the Commander Flatpack M110, while the Commander Flatpack 110 forgoes the life counters on the side if you don't want them there or you just prefer a flatter surface on the sides. They also have the Commander Flatpack 130, which looks to be a bit thicker and a bit deeper, and I assume that is meant for the previously mentioned double-sleeved cards. And of course, links to all of these will be in the description below. And they also have a VHS Flatpack, which mimics the look of a VHS with customizable labels if you want. And for the non-boomers out there, a VHS cassette is what movies used to be sold on. Putting that in modern terms, that would mean a VHS cassette is the entire internet. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you are interested in other 3D printed deck boxes, check out this playlist of all my reviews of them. Feel free to subscribe for more economical Commander content. And until next time, I will see you around.